Okay, good morning everyone, and Chazak Baruch. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Tuesday morning as we are studying together Parsha Noach. Today's class is dedicated anonymously for the Refuah Shlema of all of Am Yisrael and for protection of all of our brothers and sisters and all the Chayalim in Tzva Hagana Yisrael. Amen. Today's class is also dedicated Leilu Nishmat Dr. Nahir Esther Bat Malek by Rabiel Amirian. Chazak Baruch, may she have in Aliyah Neshama. Amen. My friends, Parashat Noah, of course, we read about a flood that nearly wiped out humanity. It wiped out 99.9% of mankind, except for one man and his family, Noah, and he is saved along with his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives. And everybody today, everyone that's here today comes from Noah. Every one of us. That's why we call the world Noahide. Okay, Noahides. The 7 Noahide laws. Okay, Shiv'a mitzvot b'nei Noah. Everybody is from Noah because he's the guy. Although we're all from Adam, but really Noah is also a person that we all are immediate, direct descendant of Noah and his wife. And what's very interesting is that, and there's an Orah Hayim that I'd like to share with you today, is what happens when they're ready to come out of the ark. Because Noah is saved, he goes into an ark, a boat, if you will, and he is there for almost a year. He's there, and while everyone is out there, unfortunately, dying, he is at least in there being saved with his family. And Noach realizes it's almost time for this to be over. And there's different, interpretations of what made him, after 1 year, open the window. Orah Hayim asks the question. The Orah Hayim says, who told Noach that after 1 year he could open the window? Maybe it's still dangerous. Maybe there's water right there. When you have a flood, if you have a huge flood coming 6, 7, 8 feet up, you don't open the door of your house because the water's going to come right into your house. Who told Noah that if he opens the door, the water's not going to come rushing right in? So the Orah Hayim, he addresses this question. He addresses many questions in regards to Noah leaving the ark. I want to read to you a very beautiful piece today. But before the piece, I just want to read to you this. He says like this. How did he know that it was okay to open the door of the ark? He wasn't worried about drowning. He wasn't worried about some accident happening. Maybe maybe he was he knew that it wouldn't be more than 12 months of punishment, and that is how long punishment lasts for. As an example, in Gehenna, it's only 12 months long. So he knew it would be 12 months and no more. Okay. Furthermore, he prepared a certain amount of food. Now, although the text doesn't say this, it has to be that God told him how much food to bring. And it must be that Hashem told him to bring enough for how long they would need it to last. And from the fact that they were running out of food, and there was no more food almost, so he knew it was time to leave soon. Because God would give me enough food that I would need to last. Yes? That is how Noah calculated that it was okay to now open the door. It must be, if Hashem told me to prepare this amount of food, and we're already almost done, then it must be that it's time to leave soon. Okay? So anyways, whatever it is, Noah decides it's time to open the door, and he needs to now check, is it safe to disembark? Is it safe to exit the ship? And the Pasuk says, Noah decides to do a test. What was the test that he did? To see if it's safe, if there's dry land for him and his family to walk out onto. The Pasuk tells us, chapter 8, Vayiftach Noach et halon hateva asher asa, that he opens the window. Vaishalach et ha'orev. He decides to send a bird. Okay, orev is which bird? Orev is the raven. He sends the raven to find out, is it safe? Vayetze yatzov hashov. The raven goes and comes back. Ad yevoshet hamayim me'al haaretz, until it was dry and he no longer came back. So, beautiful. This would seem to be the test that Noach did. He sent out a raven, but depending on the response of the raven, he knew if he was able to sense, Today people use animals to detect things. You use dogs to maybe smell for drugs. A person could sense fear in certain animals, right? Noach was able to use the bird as a way of detecting if it was fair and safe to leave the ship. That is what the pasuk seems to say. However, for some reason, the story does not end here. The next pasuk says, "Vaishalach et hayona." Then he sends the dove, the yonah. You see, it's not enough to send the raven. He also has to now send the dove. L'r'ot hakalu hamayim, to see if the water subsided. And the pasuk says, "Velo matzah hayona manoah lekaf ragla." The yonah did not find anywhere to rest its feet. Vatashov elav. So she returned to Noach. Vayishlach yado. So he extends out his hand. Vayikecha. He grabs the dove. Vayaveota latava. And he brings her back in. Vayahel od shevat yamim achinim. He waits 7 more days. Vayosef shilach et hayonah min hateva. And then he sends it out again. And then it comes back with a olive branch, aleh zayit, an olive leaf, toraf befia, vayeda Noach kikalu hamayim me'al haaretz. And then Noach now knows, because it was able to grab a leaf, it was able to grab something to in its mouth. It knew that there was verbiage, there was a vegetation. There was vegetation. There was leaves. Okay. He waited 7 more days, and he sends the dove again, and finally it didn't return. And when it didn't return, Noach now knew that it was safe to leave. So this is the test that Noach does. He sends the raven, and then he sends the dove. And the Or HaHayim immediately over here, he goes to work on asking questions and understanding what exactly is going on. My friends, let's study together today. Again, Or HaHayim. If you've been with us from the beginning of this year for the last week and a half or so, you already know he's going to go deep with this. He's going to go, he has amazing stuff in store for us today. So let us see what the Or HaHayim has to say. He begins again, of course, with questions. Tzarich lada'at lamma shilho. First of all, question is, why is he sending the raven? Im lir'ot hakalu hamayim. If it's the sea, if the water has subsided, the pasuk should have said so. So question number 1, I hope you're writing down. Question number 1, why doesn't it say by the raven that he sends the raven to see if the water went down? Okay? Because when it comes to the dove, the yonah, it says it. It says that he sends the dove to see if the water went down. So why did it leave it out by the raven? And if it's obvious and it didn't need to say it, so then why did you say it yes by the dove? Okay, so that's question number 1. Why is it that by the raven it leaves out the reason he's sending, and by the dove it says it explicitly? It should have also said it by the raven, or it shouldn't have said it by either of them. Okay, that is question number 1. Od, furthermore, Mahi kavanat omro yatso vashov ad yeboshe. It says that the raven goes back and forth, going and returning until the waters dried up. What does that mean exactly? It went and came until the waters dried up. Ima kavanahi shelo matzala Noach. If it means that it had nowhere to rest its feet and it went back and forth, and it was coming back and forth, so why did he send the dove? Again, what if the raven is obviously coming back because it has nowhere to rest its feet, so keep sending the raven. It sounds like he, for some reason, stops with the raven and then moves on to the next item, to the next bird. He moves on to the dove. Why? Why did he, so to speak, fire the raven? Why did he abort mission? Why didn't he stick with the original plan of using the raven? Why is the raven's behavior not a sign as proof that the waters has still not dried up? Number 3, okay. What does it mean that the raven went back and forth until the water dried up? Of course, the bird would keep returning until it found a place to rest. Okay, it sounds like it's just obvious. It's just telling us something that simple. Number 4, lama utzrach latzet ad yeboshet? Kevan sheyatzta hayona ba'aya maspik ladat. Okay, once the dove goes out, The fact that it doesn't find dry land would have been enough for Noach to know that the waters did not dry up. So why is he still sending the raven? Meaning, basically what he's saying is, choose. Either send the raven or send the dove, but you don't need to send both. Okay? One last question, interesting question. When the Yonah returns, it says that Noach sticks out his hands and he grabs the Yonah and he brings it in. By the raven, he doesn't do this. By the raven, it doesn't say that Noach grabs the raven to bring it back in. Okay? So these are a few questions, right? Basically, why doesn't it specify why he sends the raven? Why does he need a raven and a dove? Why doesn't he bring the raven in at the end? So it says the Or HaHayim, a novel, my friends, a novel interpretation. Kavanat HaKatuv hu. What all of this tells us could be understood based on what our rabbis tell us in Masechet Sanhedrin. Masechet Sanhedrin, page 108. Listen to this Gemara, my friends. Our rabbis tell us, Ki ha'orev shimesh bateva. That the Orev cohabitated on the ark. We know that the not only Noach and his family, but everybody on the ark was forbidden to be intimate for the entire duration of the flood. Intimacy was forbidden. They weren't allowed to be intimate, and Noach knew this, and the animals as well were aware of this. They were separated. No animal violated this commandment except for one. There was one animal that was intimate, and our rabbis tell us that was the raven. The raven was with his wife. And the pasuk, by the way, you should know, when it says that they came into the ship, into the ark, the pasuk says, God says to Noach, look at this, go back to chapter 7. Vayavo Noach ubanav, Noach and his sons, veishto unshe banav, and his wife and their wives. And Rashi notices that it's speaking Noach and his boys and his wife and the girls. Anashim levad, Rashi says, venashim levad, men alone, women alone. Lefishene esru betashmish hamita, because they were forbidden to be intimate. Bepenesha haolam sharui betzar, because the world is now in distress. The world is in sa'ar. The world is in pain, and therefore it would be not okay. Since the world was in a state of distress, it would be not okay for Noach and his family to be intimate. Okay, this is actually brought down in Shulchan Aruch that at a time of famine, in a time of war, in things like this, people need to abstain. People need to separate from being intimate with their spouse, and therefore, nobody was allowed. Now you should know actually that when it came time to leave the ark, okay, look at this. Notice the difference. On the way in, God says, "You and your boys and your wife and the girls." But on the way out of the ark, what does it say? Vayetze, the pasuk says, God comes to Noach and says, Se min hateva, leave the ark, ata ve'ishtecha, you and your wife, ubanecha, your boys and their wives. So Rashi right away comes and says, Ish ve'ishto, here they exit husband and wife. Hitir lahem tashmish hamita. He is now allowing them to resume family life. Okay? They're allowed to resume family life. So, says the Or HaHayim, let's come back over here. Ha'orev shimesh bateva, that the raven violated this commandment, that they need to abstain. Ve'yada bo Noach, and Noach knew this. Ve'lazeh, and therefore, kshepatach halon hateva, once he opens the door, which was closed, sealed, shut for an entire year. But once he opens it, geresh ha'orev mehateva techef umiyad, he is shooing away the raven. Says the Or HaHayim over here, novel. He's not sending the raven to find out if the water dried up. He's getting rid of the raven. He's punishing the raven. He's expelling the raven. You're expelled. Get out. I don't need you to see if the water went down. For that, he's going to use the dove. For the raven, he's not sending it for the water. He's sending it because I just don't want you here anymore. And that's why it says, Vaishalach et ha'orev. That's why it says that he sends the raven. And it doesn't say why he sends it. It doesn't say to see if the water went down. By the dove, it says it. He sends the dove to see if the water went down. Because that was the reason he sends the dove. But by the raven, it leaves it out because that's not why he sends it. Vehu ha'orev haya Yosef hashov. Perush Noach megarsho. And the raven, that's what it means, he's going back and forth. The raven was trying to come back. The raven came knocking on the door. Maybe that's where Edgar Allan Poe got it from in his poem. Yeah? The raven coming knocking at the door. This is the raven. It's going back and forth, asking Noach, come, let me in. Right? Once a time on Midnight Dreary, is that how it begins? I don't know, I learned it many years ago. Okay. Ulinyan shlichut lirot hakalu shlach hayona. As far as the sending of indicating if the water subsided, that wasn't the raven's job, that was the Yonah. And that's why it says, Vaishalach et hayonah me'ito lirot hakalu hamayim. That's why by the dove it says it very clearly. Bedavar ze lo yachol ledam me'haorev. He wouldn't be able to find this out from the raven's behavior. Liot shaya megorash velo b'shlichut. Maybe the raven's coming back because he wants, hey, let me back in. He wants to join the party. Maybe that's why the raven's coming. Maybe the reason it's coming is not an indication that there's nowhere to rest. Maybe there is a place to rest, but he just wants to be back with everyone else. It's lonely out here. Yeah? But the Yonah halcha b'shlichut, whereas the dove is going on a mission, and therefore the dove is a fair indicator of how are things outside. And the dove coming back is telling Noach, there's nowhere for me to rest. And therefore he immediately sends his hand and he brings in back the dove for 7 more days. So he brings it back because the dove is welcome in the ark. Not so the raven, which is expelled and kicked out and never come back again. And when it tried to come back knocking at the bedroom door, on the window, whatever it was, every time the raven came, Noach would kick it out. That is on a simple level. Or Hayim says, it's not so simple, but it's wild, that he explains this episode of sending out the raven. It was a punishment for the raven. It wasn't to indicate if there's water or not. We didn't need the raven for that. For that we have the dove. Raven, get out of here. And he goes deeper now. Watch this. And now we can explain even more. Our rabbis tell us over there in Masechet Sanhedrin, Amar Resh Lakish. Resh Lakish comes now. Resh Lakish is a big rabbi, and he says, he fills us in on a conversation that the raven has with Noach. When Noach comes and singles out the raven to say, hey, go and find out what's going on, the raven actually tells Noach the following. Rabcha senaani ve'ata senetani. The raven says to Noach, why are you picking on me? It must be that you hate me just like your creator Hashem hates me. Hashem hates me, the raven saying to Noach, Rabcha senaani, because it says Mikola behemate shiva. When it came to the kosher animals, you brought 7 of each. But when it comes to us, you just bring 1 of each. 1 male, 1 female. So Hashem clearly prefers kosher animals over me. Something that God has against me, the raven. Ve'ata, and you, continuing on the trend of hate, ata senetani, hinachta min shiv'ah, now you, Noach, fine. One thing that God chose kosher animals to bring more. He likes them more, fine. Now you, Noach, you have to pick. You have to pick an animal to find out if the water is gone or not. Which animal should you pick? Which bird should you pick? You have hundreds of different birds to pick from. You have some kosher, you have some not kosher. Which one if you're Noach, which one does it make sense to choose? You decided not to take from the 7 kosher ones, and you sent from the only one that has a male and a female species. And again, why did God tell Noach to bring a male and female? Because you need to continue the species. You need 2 to procreate. You need me and my wife. And what would happen? What would happen if something now happens to me, Noach? The sarchama or sartzina, from heat or cold, the world would be missing the species of raven. We would go extinct. So Noach, doesn't it make more sense for you to send a kosher animal? If something happens to the kosher animal, there's still 13 more or 15 more, however you understand. Whatever it is, there's still a lot more. It makes more sense to send a bird that you could afford to lose if something were, God forbid, to happen. Why are you sending me, Noach? That's what the raven is saying, not saying it, but it's saying to Noach. This is a conversation going on between a tacit maybe conversation, or maybe it's a conversation taking on in Noach's head. But the Noach is the raven has a strong case over here of why she shouldn't be sent, or he shouldn't be sent. Why are you sending me? Says the raven to Noach. Maybe, continues the raven, Shema leishti ata tzarich. Noach, are you sending me to get rid of me because you had maybe some eyes for my wife? Noach, maybe you have now. Maybe you want my wife. Maybe you want to marry her. This is what the raven says to Noach. I mean, unbelievable. This is something going on in the raven's head. Talking about paranoia, yeah? Amarlo, and what does Noach say? Let's see what he answers. Now, the answer is going to need to be opened up, but let's see what he answers. Amarlo Rasha, you wicked one. Bamutar ne'esarli. My own wife, which is permitted to me usually, is forbidden now in the ark. But ne'esarli, alahat kama kama. You think I'm now going to take your wife, which is always forbidden to me? Yeah, the raven, the Mrs. Raven, okay? Obviously, it's a very deep midrash, okay? What exactly is going on? What are the words? What's the argument? What's the give and take between the raven and Noach? According to this midrash, says the Or HaHaim, the raven, the wicked raven, did not want to go. Now, you should know, by the way, historically, the raven is always viewed as a bad animal, bad luck. The raven, again, representing the grim in the Edgar Allan Poe poem. Maybe you've ever been to London and you've seen the ravens over there. They represent not good things on the palace over there, right? The raven is usually, it's a black animal. It's representing black sin, right? Filth, dirt, as opposed to white. The dove, clean, yeah? The raven represents the letters of Orev are Avera, sin, yeah? It's not such a good animal. The raven represents, at least, right? It's not kosher. He didn't want to go on his mission. So there's two reasons he doesn't want to leave the ark, this raven. He's afraid of getting hurt by the elements, or he's afraid of Noach. He's paranoid that Noach is going to try to be with his wife. Okay? And therefore, the raven never went. According to the midrash, again, the Or HaHaim's opinion is the raven wasn't sent on a mission. Is the raven was kicked out. Even according to the midrash, he says, the midrash that understands that maybe the raven was sent on a mission, but the raven never went on the mission. The raven stayed. The raven left the room, but it stayed peeking through the window, making sure Noach didn't go near his wife. Yeah? And therefore Noach needed to now send the dove. And therefore, the pasuk now, according to the midrash, are understood as follows. So he sends the raven, and it didn't want to go, rather it was going back and forth. And therefore, Noach, he doesn't know. Okay? So according to this opinion, according to this approach, he tried sending the raven to see what's going on with the waters, but the raven never wanted to go. The raven hung around. And according this midrash can be explained, my friends, fascinating. Look at this. The Orev is coming with the following argument, and this is a pasuk in Tehillim. And my friends, if this pasuk is not current events, then I don't know what is. Look at this pasuk in Tehillim. The pasuk says in chapter 69, please open it up if you have one, 69:27. Ata asher hikita radafu. The pasuk says that the one who you hit, which is us, Israel, the Jewish people, radafu, they persecuted. So God, not only did you hit us, ki min hara'ui, usually lirahem al hamukeh, usually the world shows mercy on the victim, compassion on someone that was beaten, uneh, and oppressed. Usually that's how it is. Usually, if someone comes and kills 1,200 innocent people, usually if someone comes and beheads babies, usually if someone comes and rapes women, Usually if someone comes and takes hostages, usually you show mercy to those people, to the victim. That's usually what you do. But already the Navi said 2,000, 3,000 years ago. That's not how the world acts with Israel. Hem hosifu lirdof. When we are punished, the nations add persecution. They add cruelty. Somehow it's our fault. Somehow we did something wrong. That's not a new thing, by the way. You shouldn't be surprised if it's happening today. This has always been the story. This is David HaMelech writing this in Tehillim. This is as old as Judaism. We do the right thing, we're the victim, and somehow we're guilty. And there are people, by the way, today, evil people, even in relationships, that use this. They're wrong, and then they make you feel like it's your fault for me being wrong. It's your fault that this has happened. It's your fault that I'm beating you up. It's your fault that you were violent. It's your fault. It's your fault. You're actually the cause of this problem. People need to be very careful of people like this in relationships, in life. V'zehu ta'anat ha'orev. And now this is really what the raven is saying. Be'omro to Noach. Rabcha sene'ani, your master hates me, Hashem hates me. Because he took less of my species. He took less ravens into the ark. He only took 2 ravens. And you're adding. You're making it even worse. This is what the raven's saying. It's one thing for God to punish me and only let me bring 2 ravens on the ark, but that you should punish me even further and now send one of those 2 out to find out if the water is done? Even more dangerous. You're putting me in harm's way. You should send out a different animal. I'm the victim and you're punishing me even more, adding insult onto injury. You are Noach, you are cruel. This is what the raven is arguing to Noach. Or, maybe you're not cruel. Must be, you have a different reason. I don't know what your intentions are, Noach. Either you're cruel, or you're just an idiot. Or you want to sleep with my wife. You want to sleep, right? Hushema leishti. I don't know, it's one or the other, but both are horrible. Both are wrong. Both are disgusting. Either one is not okay. Whatever the reason is, however in the world you could answer as to why these are your opinions, as to why this is what you chose to do. And again, this is not only the raven talking to Noach. This is all of time, all of humanity. This is especially in today's day and age. How could it be that people out there are applauding, are standing up, are giving chizuk, encouragement to what these terrorists did? We applaud the self-defense. Either you're an idiot and you're ignorant, or you're evil. One of the two. Both are hard, both are bad. Both are wrong. Everything else, somehow they know how to be educated, they know how to have an opinion. All of a sudden here, I don't have an opinion, I don't know, it's complicated, we can't look, we can't read, we can't study. The raven says to Noach, maybe the second option is you want to be with my wife, because your wife to you was forbidden. So you need to be with someone's wife, so you're going to take mine. Right? Fine. Or, again, so that's all one way, right? The raven saying to Noach, why are you sending me? I have only 2 species left, only two members left of my species. It's only me and my wife. Why are you sending me? That's option one. Right? You're either trying to kill me or you want my wife. That's option one. Or al derech, perhaps you can explain on what we touched on before. Orev shimesh bateva, that the orev, the raven, like we said, cohabitated with its mate in the ark. Ukfi zeh, and according to this, ta'an kilonet ava ela la'orev kira'at ashmisho. So the raven is saying, you know why you want my wife? You know, Noach, you want my wife? Because it must be that you saw us cohabitating. And when a person sees something like that, it instills in them a desire for that person, for that thing. And therefore you must have seen my wife with me, Noach, and therefore the raven says, that's why you're getting rid of me. That's why you want my wife out of all of the animals that are on this ark. Because you saw us, you saw what we did. Now, what is Noach's answer to all of this? Veheshivo Noach. Noach answers the raven. Noach now says, you wicked one. Why is he calling the raven wicked? A, because you called God my master. You said, your master. He's not your master. You don't believe in God, raven? He's not yours also? That's one idea. And again, you're accusing me of wanting your wife. Obviously, I'm not. Like we said before, if I can't have my own wife, who's usually permitted, obviously. And if you think I'm going to do a sin, if I'm going to do a sin and be with somebody, I might as well be with my own wife, because it's only one sin to be with her. Right? To be with your wife is two sins. It's, right? Eshet ish, or whatever you want to call it. Eshet raven. And it's on the ark. It's forbidden. Okay? And therefore Noah says, you don't have to worry about me wanting to be with your wife. And look at this. Od nitkaveh lomar rasha. Furthermore, why does he call him a wicked one? Look at this. Kol haposel bemumohu posel. In life, my friends, you need to know that life is a mirror. What we see in others is really what we need to see in ourselves. When a person accuses somebody of something, usually it's because that person is of that nature. In English, we say it takes one to know one. If I see somebody doing something, let's say with a tzedakah box, and I assume that he's stealing from the tzedakah box, why did I think that he's stealing? Why did my brain go there, that he's stealing? Maybe he's getting change. There's a dozen of things that he could be doing. Why did I think he's stealing? A lot of times it's because that's what I would do. If I was with the tzedakah box alone, I would steal. If I see people in the synagogue whispering to each other, what do I think they're whispering about? What do we think they're whispering about? Are they whispering about business? Are they whispering about sports? Are they whispering about, something they did, or a certain temptation? What are they whispering about? Wherever my brain goes, it's probably not because that's what I'm thinking they're talking about, but it's actually reflection of what I would be talking about. Right? So Noach says to the raven, if you think that I would do that, that's where your head is. That's what you would probably do. Right? And therefore Noach calls the raven Rasha, wicked one. What is the answer though? And this is amazing. What is the answer to the raven's argument? You're sending me, and there's only two of me. Look at this. There's only two of me. That we still didn't answer that question. What would Noach say to that? Why are you sending me? Yeah? There's so many other animals to send. They could send a kosher animal, and if something were to happen to it, the species wouldn't become extinct. If Shar Lomar could answer that question, says the Or HaHayim. When he's calling the bird a Rasha, he's answering the question. When he says, you wicked one, to the raven, he's actually answering that question to the raven. He's tshuva, it's an answer. What were it to be if something happens to me? You know what Noah's answer is? There's no problem. If something happens to you, it's not a problem. You know why? Because you already slept with your wife. She's already pregnant. So there wouldn't be an extinction of the species. Even if you were to die, you already lay your seed inside Mrs. Raven. And therefore, there's no problem. Wow. You got it? You got what he's saying over here? And therefore, Noach is addressing and answering the raven on every one of its arguments. And there's a whole conversation and layers of conversation going on between what's being said. A lot of times you say something, you say to someone, hey, how's it going? Like that, hey, how's it going? Now, what do you say with those words? How's it going? Right? Simply you're saying, how's it going? But there's a deeper how's it going on over here. Right? You're saying, hey, how's it going? I know what you're up to. That's what you're saying, right? There's a deeper. And the guy says back, it's going good. It's going good. What's he saying? On a simple level, he's saying it's good. And there's a deeper answer. Yeah, don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. I know what I'm doing, right? So Noach here is having a conversation with the raven, and there's a deeper conversation. On the outside, the raven says, why are you sending me? What happens if I go extinct? Noach says, don't worry about it. maybe you won't get extinct, or don't worry about it. I know what you did on the ship. I know what you did. So there won't be extinction problems. Actually, the best animal to send is the raven, because the raven's already has a future waiting inside Mrs. Raven's uterus or whatever she has. You understand? Unbelievable stuff going on over here. This is the Ora Haim. This is how he understands the whole episode of the raven and the dove. And just to end over here with an idea, Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson, he says that in general, on the dove, the raven, that the raven, the pasuk says, Livnei orev asher yikra'u. That the pasuk says that it's a pasuk in Tehillim, chapter 147. That baby ravens call out. Baby ravens call out. And the Ibn Ezra says, Hachmei hagoyim omrim, that the wise men of the nations, meaning biologists, animal studiers, right? They say that ravens abandon their young after birth. Ravens abandon their babies. Ravens are very cruel. That's what ravens do. They give birth and they abandon them. And that's why the baby ravens need to call out. Livnei orev asher yikra'u. That's why the baby ravens call out to Hashem. And the Be'er Ma'im says that the word ha'arev is the letters, like we said, of avera. The quality of negativity has become ingrained in the raven. It became one and synonymous with evil. That is what the raven has become to be. And the dove is the exact opposite. The dove represents peace. The dove represents modesty. The dove represents loyalty to one's spouse. In Shir HaShirim, God calls us His dove, right? Hinnach yafa ra'yati, hinnach yafa enayich yonim. Right? God says, behold, you are fair, your eyes are like doves. So we are a dove. Dove represents that idea of tsanua, of, again, being modest. And the midrash says, Ma yona misha'ah shemakeret ben zuga ena mimira oto be'aher. Just as a dove recognizes its mate, it never is unfaithful to exchange with another. You know, animals in the animal kingdom, they're not all loyal. Yeah, they have a child, they go on to another person. But the yonah will never leave. The dove will stay forever with that dove. That's why you should know. That's why you should know that the Torah, when it says bring a dove, Torah says bring always a korban, 2 doves. You know why you got to bring 2 doves? Because if you're bringing one, what's its mate going to do for the rest of her life? She's going to stay loyal. Therefore, the Torah says bring always 2. Bring it and its partner. Because it will not move on. It cannot move on. Ingrained in the dove is loyalty to its spouse. So therefore bring 2. Wild. Every other animal you can just bring 1. Because the other one that remains, that survives, will move on. But not the dove. And Kach Yisrael, that is the trait, my friends, of the Jewish people. Once we recognize Hashem, Lo hemiruhu be'aher. We never left God for anyone else in the entire world. We never exchange Hashem with another. So raven represents evil, cruelty. Dove, love, kindness. And how does one react when coming out of an ark? If you're a Noach and you see destruction, what do you do with that? So at first Noach thought, let me send the raven. When people are cruel, I have to be cruel. When people are evil, I have to be evil. When people are killing innocent, I should just, that's it. The heck with the rules. I should kill innocent. If this is what they're doing, this is what I should do. And a lot of times people that are victims of abuse, of molestation, of whatever form of trauma, they end up becoming, when they get older, they become as well molesters. They become abusers. They become people that are violent. Because that is how we respond. That is how we react to pain, to destruction, to a whole generation of flood. How do I come out of that? Noach came out. His initial reaction, his initial response was raven, aggressive, evil. This is how you're going to be. This is the deal. I got to be thick-skinned. I got to have resilience. I got to be tough. That's the only way we're going to make it out of this. And ultimately, God reminds him that that is not the right approach. Noach learns that ultimately the approach is always of a dove. Even if I was hurt, I should not use that to now hurt other innocent people. I have to use that hurt to provide protection for other people. I have to use that hurt to be someone who is going to be a beacon of light for other people. I have to use that hurt to be a person who realizes if this is what it feels like, then opposite. I don't want someone else to become the victim of me, but opposite. I want to make sure no one ever has to feel like I feel. I want to make sure to protect everybody that's out there that I could protect. I want to make sure that I'm going to be there for that other person, providing shelter, that they should never experience what I experienced. This is what God's message to Noach is. Of course, in a time of war, we must do whatever we have to protect ourselves. We must do whatever is necessary to make sure that we first and foremost are safe and protected from evil. And if they choose to put innocent civilians in harm's way, that's their fault. That is their war crime, not ours. They are guilty, not us. But ultimately, we have to also remember, my friends, that we can never paint with a brush all types of people and say, well, if that's the case, then just carpet bomb. If that's the case, just wipe them all. If that's the case, then ultimately that's what Noach thought to do. Become a raven. Become aggressive. But as Am Yisrael, we have to always remember that we were always the nation that had morality. We were always a nation that had a sense of right and wrong, that had compassion for everybody, even for the Egyptian. Could you imagine that the Torah says, Egyptian, you lived in his, it's a wild thing to think about. You lived in his country, so therefore don't oppress. Again, not talking about war, I'm not talking about what's going on now, that's for sure. But we have to also make sure that we never become ravens. We can never allow this to turn us into animals, because then what do we gain? That is not the takeaway. From Noach, we must remain the dove. We must remain that nation. And that is how we will win the war. This is how we're going to win the PR war. Not by becoming like them. We're so upset today in the PR. What's going on? How could it be? Everyone's on their side. It's ridiculous. We're angry. We're bitter. Makes no sense. How can people be standing? Do you have any brain? Do you have any seichel whatsoever? It doesn't make any sense. But my friends, how are we going to win this war? We're going to win it. Remember what God says to Abraham. Umkalelcha aor. If someone's cursing you, don't curse him back. Or from the word light. Show them the light. Show them who you really are. Show them what a real Jew is. People around us, our co-workers, our employees, people in our network, in our circle. What's our job? Our job is to show them this is what a real Jew is. People that know me, people from my building, people have come over to me, said it's crazy what's going on. It's crazy because they see, people that see real Jews, they know what real Judaism is. They walk away understanding who's right and who's wrong. It's only people that are exposed to fake, that are exposed to misinformation, that are exposed to things that they don't know what it is. So how important it is for every one of us to make sure that wherever we go, whoever we talk to, we are a Kiddush Hashem. They walk around trying to catch Jews saying on camera things like, I want to kill every Arab. They catch them saying something like that, one line, and then they spread it out to everyone to see. And they say, look, you see, the Jews are just as bad as Hamas. So we have to be very careful to make sure that we never adopt the raven approach. Always to remain doves. That is another takeaway from this idea. Okay, my friends, we'll stop over here. Have a wonderful, blessed day, and hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.